The movie begins in a distant period where we are introduced to a time-traveling operative who goes by the name of Andrea Collins. She is a team of intelligent scholars who have devised a plan to traverse time and rectify the course of events in order to secure harmony and peace in the upcoming years. It turns out that a man by the name of Adolf Hitler has committed the atrocity of killing 60 million human beings up to the present day. Thus, Andrea decides to embark on a journey back in time to the early years of Adolf Hitler and take necessary actions. One of the scholars cautions her of the dangers associated with this idea, deeming it as a one-way trip to the Twilight Zone. However, Andrea remains undeterred in her quest. She is willing to risk her own life for the sake of countless others. In the next scene, Andrea, in collaboration with her team, develops a meticulous scheme to infiltrate the residence of Adolf Hitler. In order to accomplish this, she poses her identity as a newly hired housewife who is entrusted with certain domestic responsibilities. The only problem is that they have a narrow window of just 48 hours to execute their plan and eradicate Hitler before the real housekeeper arrives. The stakes are high and the pressure is intense as Andrea and her team realize the gravity of their mission and the consequences of any misstep or delay. Nonetheless, they remain determined to see their plan through, knowing that the success could lead to major improvements in the future. Yeah, like there won't be so many movies about Adolf Hitler anymore. After a while, Andrea travels through time and eventually arrives in Braunau, Austria, where her mission to alter the course of history commences. However, the sudden and abrupt transition through time causes her to feel disoriented and dizzy, and she's forced to puke excessively upon arrival. She must have accidentally said diagonally. As she attempts to steady herself and regain her composure, she is approached by a beggar who asks if she has any money. Andrea immediately extends a few coins, showing her generous and charitable nature. She then continues on her journey, only to be stopped by a police officer who demands an explanation for her presence in the area. However, our intelligent protagonist easily makes up a believable alibi, allowing her to proceed with her crucial mission undetected. After walking the unfamiliar land for a while, Andrea finally arrives at the doorstep of Adolf Hitler's home. There she encounters Adolf Hitler, the father of the infamous historical figure, who is known to be a strict and overprotective parent, especially when it comes to his precious offspring, Lwa, whose name I might be mispronouncing, but I don't care, because he's Hitler's dad and it's not worth looking up. Expresses his surprise at her early arrival, wondering why she has come 2 days before her scheduled start date. In a quick thinking maneuver, Andrea pretends to have finished her previous commitments in a timely manner. She also says that there was no reason to wait for 2 extra days, as she is in dire need of money. Following this brief exchange, Alwa hands her a document outlining her daily duties, which primarily consists of cooking and cleaning. Unfortunately, she discovers that she has not been assigned the task of caring for baby Hitler, which is a major setback in her plan. When she asks about it, Alwa introduces her to Christina, who is responsible for taking care of the baby. He then divulges that he has suffered the tragedy of losing 3 of his children in the past, and Adolf is his 4th child. Therefore, he is determined to take every precautionary measure to ensure the safety and well-being of his son. Lwa proceeds to blame his wife Clara for the loss of their children, considering her to be physically and mentally frail at night. Andrea bides her time until everyone else in the house has fallen asleep. Scared but motivated, she grabs a nearby pillow and sets off down the hallway, her gaze fixed on the innocent, sleeping form of baby Adolf Hitler. With each step, her grip on the pillow tightens, her mind consumed with thoughts of the countless lives she could save by eradicating the source of so much evil. However, her scheme is abruptly halted by the unexpected appearance of Clara, who enters the room just as Andrea is about to carry out her plan. Desperate to avoid detection, Andrea quickly stashes the pillow at the far end of the crib and adopts a soothing motherly demeanor, pretending that she was merely trying to calm the fussy baby. Although a bit suspicious, Clara believes her explanation and goes to check on her child. It becomes evident that she is extremely protective of her baby. Just then, Adolf begins to cry, "I'll shut up, you little Willis." Prompting Clara to request that Andrea hold him, since she herself is not permitted to touch the infants as per Alwa's orders. After successfully lulling the baby back to sleep, Andrea and Clara make their way back to the quarters, only to be disturbed by the unmistakable sounds of coitus coming from Alwa's bedroom. It turns out he is engaged in a passionate affair with Christina, the babysitter. But instead of getting angry, Clara remains unfazed and simply leaves, indicating that she doesn't care anymore. Perhaps Andrea should just kill Alwa might actually solve everything. The following morning, as Andrea goes about her duties, she encounters Zawa, who inquires if she would like to attend a live performance with him that evening. Not wanting to waste any more time, Andrea pretends to be sick and suggests that Awa take Christina with him instead. To her surprise, The man takes up the suggestion and asks his babysitter if she wants to go with him. Christina agrees without thinking twice. Andrea is relieved that her plan is still on track and continues to perform her daily chores, while abiding her time until she can carry out her mission to eliminate Adolf Hitler as a baby. As the evening progresses, Christina approaches Andrea with a request to take extra care of the baby, emphasizing that Alwa would not hesitate to harm her if anything happens to his child. Upon hearing this, Andrea inquires if Christina's decision to sleep with Alwa was a result of her fear of being executed. Christina says no, but then reveals that Alwa made a promise to marry her someday. Moreover, she divulges that Clara was once a housekeeper like herself, whom Alwa had promised to marry after the death of his first wife. All this information shocks Andrea, but she keeps her thoughts to herself and continues to focus on the task at hand. In the next scene, Alwa and Christina depart for live performance, whereas Clara falls into a deep sleep due to exhaustion from the day's activities. This situation gives Andrea the perfect opportunity to complete her mission. Therefore, she stealthily makes her way into the baby's room and picks up the blanket. However, in a shocking turn of events, Andrea finds herself paralyzed with fear. No matter how hard she tries, she just cannot do it. Andrea's failure to kill baby Hitler leaves her distressed and searching for a solution to prevent the future massacre. She turns to the church and confides in a priest, explaining the dire situation and asking for guidance. However, the priest dismisses her claims, stating that no one can predict the future. Determined to prevent the catastrophe, Andrea attempts to convince Clara to flee with the baby, but her efforts are futile. Now she is torn between her moral obligations and the potential consequences of her actions. She doesn't want to kill the baby, but she doesn't want to let him live either. As Andrea wanders the streets of Braunau depressed, she encounters Alwa, who begins to spew hateful and anti-Semitic comments at her. Surprisingly, this sparks an idea in Andrea's mind about how she can possibly prevent the future atrocities that she knows are coming. I'm telling you, she's just got to kill Alwa. In the same evening, Alwa Hitler hosts a dinner party at his home, where he entertains his guests, leaving baby Adolf unattended. This situation presents another golden opportunity for Agent Andrea to carry out her mission. She takes advantage of the moment and sneaks into the baby's room, where she takes the child and leaves the house unnoticed. Her destination is a nearby river, where she intends to end the life of the baby as well as her own. At the same time, Alwa orders Christina to bring the baby to him. But when the babysitter goes there, she is shocked to find that the child is missing. Horrified, she frantically starts looking for Adolf and eventually spots Andrea fleeing with him in her arms. Christina gives chase, but Andrea is already far ahead. Eventually, she finds Andrea on the edge of the bridge overlooking the river. Their eyes meet once, and before Christina can approach her, Andrea takes a deep breath and jumps into the river with the baby. Baby cries Hitler. Witnessing the horrific sight and realizing that Adolf has been murdered, Christina starts going crazy. However, just then, she comes across a gypsy woman who is attempting to sell her own baby. This gives her a cunning idea. Christina checks her purse and exchanges all the money she has for the gypsy baby. The plan is a risky one, but it is only solution she can think of right now. Following this, Christina returns with the baby to Hitler's guests and has everyone full. However, Alwa, being the father of baby, senses that something is wrong. But despite this, he doesn't react in front of his guests and decides to wait and see how things unfold. In the final scene, this self-host named Forrest Whitaker reflects on the story of Andrea Collins and pays tribute to her by observing a moment of silence. He acknowledges her bravery in making the ultimate sacrifice for the betterment of humanity. However, he notes that in her quest to prevent the evil that Adolf Hitler would later become, Andrea inadvertently played a part in creating the very monster that she sought to eliminate. It turns out the gypsy baby grew to become Adolf Hitler, the leader of Nazi Germany, who was responsible for the Holocaust and the killing of several million innocent people. He also initiated a brutal war which was the most destructive of its kind in mankind history. With this, Boris Whitaker emphasizes that the passage of history is unalterable and no matter how hard one tries, they only end up making things worse. Even the smallest of changes in the past can lead to dire consequences in the future. Why didn't they just send another agent back in time to kill the gypsy? Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.